You don't want it.
You don't want it.
You don't want it.
You don't want it. Maybe you're not working hard enough.
All of this stuff and nothing is moving.
I'm looking at the scoreboard and the scoreboard's still the same.
This needs to be done today.
Yes.
People will die.
I see my phone ring and I don't answer it.
Or prostitutes.
Yes.
ADHD, OCD, any kind of DDD. You don't want it.
You don't want it.
You don't want it.
You don't want it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people who do not like to introduce themselves. We are the Unplug Podcast, and if you're joining us for the first time, you're here because you hate your life, you hate your wife, you hate your kids, and you might even hate your jobs. And this is the podcast for you.
Guys, every week we pick one topic that's keeping you stuck. One behavior, one habit, one mindset that is keeping you in the trap.
Now, what if the one reason you're falling behind isn't because you're lazy, but because you're actually stuck in the hustle trap?
And there's a belief that more hours mean more progress, more effort means more success, and more busyness means you're doing something right.
But there's a lot of people who are so busy every single day, but they aren't getting anywhere.
Because motion is not always momentum, guys, and the hustle is not always progress.
So today we're going to talk about doing less can sometimes get you more and how you can exactly get outside the hustle trap.
Let's go.
So cool. So I think what I really wanted us to harp on today and talk about was a lot about this hustle trap. We spoke about it previously on another sort of episode about the hustle, mindset and, working super, super hard. And I feel like I'm victim to it. I know you've been victim to it as well. And I kind of just want to unravel this whole concept of working more means more. Whereas you can have an opportunity to do less and still earn, make, and become more. So a big concept of what this is all about is the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch, which is like an amazing book. Again, editor will probably bring that up here for you guys to watch and get from Amazon. An amazing book. And it's all on the concept of being able to do less, that 20% that can account to that 80%. Whereas in life and in today's society, everyone's doing 80% of work for that 20% of joy, right? So that's what I kind of really wanted to unravel. And say from your perspective, how would you kind of define today's 2026 modern day hustler trap?
Yeah, so the hustle trap is, there is a mentality where we glorify the hustle. Every day I'm hustling. It's like that is most people's philosophy, most people's mantra, that the more I hustle and the more I grind, the more successful I'll be, the more productive I'll be. But we know that's not the truth. And this podcast, guys, is about unconditioning your mind from the things that you believe today are true to understand that there are new ways and improved ways to be more efficient, more productive, grow your self-development and your personal development. So this episode is about you understanding that you can actually do less work and be more productive and get more results and get more success. And it's about identifying the things that really, really move the needle as opposed to spending time doing things that just don't really matter.
100%. And I think busyness doesn't always mean progress. Not every single thing deserves your energy equally. And you definitely need, like John said, need to use discernment to understand when you need to say yes to certain stuff and no to certain stuff. But taking it a bit more personally now, right? Like for myself, I've always been that guy to do 101 things. Always. Like even from school, I was doing delivery, I was cutting the hair, I was working in KFC, I had like 4 or 5 jobs at any given time. Right? And I was doing a lot. I was very busy. Like people were like, Freeman, you must be making it. You must be rolling it. And I just refreshed my bank account thinking, flipping, oh, bro. Only if you know. Only if you knew, right? So I feel like there's this culture and this sort of like mindset, a lot of always like working hard or looking busy, right? But there's a difference of like actually looking busy, being busy, and also if you have to as well, right? And also think about what can actually be productive. But I kind of also want to know from your perspective, what was the real sort of epiphany moment for you was like, I actually don't need to work this hard? Because obviously I know a big thing that you're working on with your consultation is like clock up by noon, right? So that's like a whole philosophy right now. So I think this is really your time to shine.
Yes, indeed.
So like, I kind of want to know, firstly, when did you realize that all this rigmarole that you're doing wasn't actually necessary?
I mean, before I jump into that, I feel like there is a mindset, and I had this mindset before starting this business, that if you're not tired, if you're not stressed, if you're not overloaded, then maybe you're not working hard enough. But then I heard the concept that in modern day, like times have changed, right? So now we have the internet, we have social media, we have all these things that allow you to not, AI even, that allow you not to necessarily work harder, but it's about working smarter.
Yeah.
So I kept hearing that those words being thrown around, work harder, work smarter. And we always say that success and just elevation come from being curious, like wanting to learn. So I just started studying. I came across, and actually I want to shout at the, I forgot what his name is. It's the Pareto principle that that book actually stems from. But I learned within this business, or how I started my existing business. So let's rewind a little bit. So I started this business just over 4 years ago. When I started, I was doing everything. I was cleaning, guest messaging. I was even painting properties. I was doing pretty much everything. And then I got to a place where I was burnt out. I was tired. And I was thinking, surely I didn't leave my job to now create another job and be doing all these different things. So I got curious and started to look for answers. And then I learned that there should be only certain things I should be doing. And then the rest of the stuff that needs to be done in the business, I need to either get rid of it, eliminate, or I need to hire staff and delegate. And from then, the business just started to work without more of my input. And I just found in doing less, it allowed me to produce more, it allowed me to grow the business, it allowed me to just understand, just how do you take your business from here to there.
Now, that sort of shift in business, because like, I think that's like a big thing, and I feel like a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, or even people in their daily lives, like imagine if like you're a parent, and now all of a sudden for you to earn more money, you now need to leave your child with a sitter so you can earn more, make more. Giving that responsibility to a sitter, or giving that responsibility or delegating, like you said, to a team, that's not an easy thing.
No, it's really
So
not.
how did you kind of digest that concept?
I learned that, and I've said this to someone the other day, something being 60, even 70% done by somebody else is better than me doing it, because it allows me to actually do stuff that's going to have more of an impact in the business. And I think once I understood that concept and grasped it, that if you hire someone to do something, they don't have to do it 100%. As long as it's done a certain way, then it's absolutely fine. So once I was okay with that, and it wasn't easy, because like we said before, you create something, it's your baby, and now you're giving that work to somebody else, and you kind of got to step back. That's not an easy thing to do. But I learned that not all tasks are equal. So there's going to be certain things within your life, within your business, that really matter, and those are the things you need to focus on. And there's going to be some things in your life that don't really matter. So we can either stop doing them, or we can give it to somebody else.
Okay, now I'm with you.
So I need to now hire a chef or something, and a full-time housekeeper, because those things. No, but yeah. What about yourself? Let's kind of delve, because I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are the man that. You do a lot, bro.
I do a lot.
You do a lot.
I do a lot.
Why do you do a lot? Or where have you adopted that mindset of that doing all these different things is gonna achieve success?
I feel like I come from a family and a background of just very hard workers. I've always known my parents to be doing at least 2 to 3 things. Like when we first came to UK, my mom was in full-time education, working 2 part-time jobs, and raising 2 teenage-year-old boys. That's like, it's a lot. That's always been the thing. Like one thing isn't enough for me. So I feel like that's where like the working hard comes from me, as opposed to like the working smart. So I think that's what I've been conditioned to do.
Yes.
I've been very, very, very conditioned to. And when you're so conditioned to something, and I maybe see someone like yourself who's like literally clocking up by noon, I'm thinking, bro, this is not fit. Do you get what I mean? Like, why is your life so easy? Why are you just sort of just like rolling around like, yo, friend, what are you doing? Like, do you want to go to the pub? Like bro, like, how are you here?
I've still got work to do.
I've still got work to do, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just clocking in for the second time today. Do you get what I mean? So, like, I feel like I also kind of developed that, like, it's not fair complex. Like, oh, why are they like, able to gallivant, and why are they able to do this, or why is he just so lucky? But like, it wasn't that they were so lucky, and it wasn't that because they just kind of got, fortunate circumstances, because that they were able to delegate. They were a lot more smarter, and they were a lot more intentional with the activities and the tasks that they're doing. Like me, like I still kind of like, I'm guilty of it today. I'm a night owl. I will work through the night. I just feel like my brain is at its optimal capacity. I don't know if anyone's watched Lucy, right? Bad boy movie.
Yeah,
but like,
that.
you know what, like the brain starts getting to like 70-80% and you just become like omnipresent. I feel like my brain starts unlocking the grey matter, like all the extra intricacies of the brain, literally as it past like 11 p.m. midnight. And as it gets further and further to the morning, I get smarter. But at the same time, my energy level is deep. So
why do you think that is? I've got my idea of why that is, but I want to hear what you have.
I don't actually know, like even when I was like studying from like my GCSEs, I remember like revising till 4 a.m. and then like going to go to school for like 8 a.m. I feel like I just have, I don't know if you want to call it ADHD, OCD, any kind of DDD, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? But like, I just get, there's so much distraction during the day. And I think I find it difficult to like stay focused. Like sitting on my laptop, I'm focused on something. I see an email, like, oh, flipping on, that's kind of pissed me off. Like, quickly address this email. I see this email, then my girl calls me, oh, what do you want? Oh, and then I get this notification, I just get distracted. But when it's like nighttime, the whole world is switched off.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, for me personally, the only time I can kind of focus.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Now, in my head, I'm laughing. The reason why I'm laughing is that I've found, I mean, naturally, if you really think about it, I know a lot of people are night owls. But if you think about it, you've gone a whole day. Yeah. How much energy do you really have at the end of the day to now really give 100%? And I personally feel you're able to work that way because you've got no distractions. But the other way, if you flipped it around and got up earlier and used the morning window when there's no distractions, you'd probably be even more productive.
Yeah, likely.
Because you've just rested. You've just woken up from 7-8 hours sleep. Your mind is fresh, bro. But I feel in the morning, or in the day, you're getting distracted by, like you said, email, phone calls, and you've not blocked out the world from the noise. So you're getting pulled in to all these different things that naturally, as a CEO of your company, you're working, but you got an eye on it, and then you think you kind of need to jump in. Yeah. So,
No, I think I'm with you. I think ultimately, actually, it's focus. Because now that I'm actually deep in it, during the night, I don't actually have more energy than I do during the day. I just have more focus.
Yes.
Right? So it feels like I'm actually really energized, but in reality, I'm just tunnel vision.
Because you got less distractions.
Yeah, and I'm operating at 50% capacity, but operating tunnel vision at 50% capacity is still a lot more than being like totally distracted. Yeah. And you got all this energy.
Operating at 100% capacity with like, doing this, doing that.
Yeah, loads of distractions, right?
Loads of distractions.
So I think you are right. It's just it's a habit, unfortunately, that I need to break. It's a habit, and I do get into rhythms when I'm waking up early, but then sometimes I'm also quite obsessive about stuff as well. Okay. I think like this needs to be done today.
Yes.
People will die.
We've had those conversations.
Do you know what I mean? People will die.
Yes.
But in reality, like, no. Everyone's going to be fine.
Yes.
So yeah, I think like it's a conditioning thing. But guys, like, let us know what you think in the comments. If you're a night owl, like, how do you like to work? Like, what sort of your best kind of like practices? But
yeah, no, I was just going to say, and I think, we're talking about the hustle trap, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have is that they mistake being busy, bro, with progress. Like we've just alluded to, not everything deserves equal attention. Like you get that email, you get that phone call, you feel like you got to answer the phone call. I'm at a stage now, I'll see my phone ring and I don't answer it, bro, because I know that's not going to move the needle today.
Yeah, I'm very bad.
Or in that moment, or an email, like that email can wait.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like the less we kind of do, our brain is kind of less scattered, and it now allows us to really focus on the meaningful stuff.
Okay, I think that's very, very helpful. And I think I want us to like shout out or give some examples of some like clear types of individuals. So I've made like a list of like, your everyday person and what they do. And I kind of want you to give like a quick 30-second less is more thing that they can do in their situation, their life, right? So first we have a parent, right? A parent, your mum and dad, trying to do everything or being burned out by work. What is like an 80-20 principle that we can give to some of the parents, mum and dads in same shared household that they can give to manage their kids, manage their work? As opposed to right now, they're working late, having to do this one, having to do that. What sort of advice could you give?
I would, in their work, I'd break it down into two sort of areas, really. One is work, one is obviously being a parent. Work is identifying the things within my job that are the most impactful. So what are the biggest tasks that actually make me successful in my role? And when you hear that, you think there's going to be loads of things, but you can normally whittle down success in your job, in your business, down to maybe 3 to 5 things.
Yeah.
And identifying what those 3 to 5 things are, and then time blocking. I'm very big on, bro, you bought me the timer.
I know, I did.
So me and Freeman got these timers that you can set a timer of however long, press the button and you see the timer sort of count down. And the whole aim and objective is that while that timer is counting down, you're just locked into your work. You don't do anything. Do you know what I mean? And we call that time blocking. So identifying the 3 to 5 tasks and then time block, 60, 90 minutes. You don't do anything other than work on those 3 to 5 tasks in that time block. Right. So that's what I do for the work. Again, with my child, like, depending on what I don't know if you're homeschooling or whatever it may be, like, again, just blocking out specific time to work on the few things that you're trying to develop in your child right now. So if you're trying to develop numeracy in your child or whatever, like hand-eye coordination, identifying a few tasks that you can work on with your child in a time block, and that's that.
Okay, I love that. This might be the same answer, but I also want to say for the solo parents who don't have endless times, so maybe single mom, single dad, who've got one kid, also do work full time, how would you suggest them managing with their 80-20 principle as well?
What are they trying to achieve? Because I always feel like it's like, in order for you to hit that 20-80, you got to know what the end result is.
So let's say like they also want to, progress in their role, and they also kind of, support their child in like, growing up and being as present as possible. But they feel like because they're a solo parent, there's so much that they have to do.
Yes.
So what kind of advice would you give to like a, solo mom and dad?
Again, I think it stems from just being disciplined enough to allocate time to everything. And then when you're in that time, you're fully present. So when I'm parenting, I'm not on my phone, I'm not watching TV, I'm not speaking to my friends.
Being intentional at that time.
Yeah, being intentional,
present.
being present in the moment. I think that's probably where I'm going with this. Like, you have to be present in the moment when you're doing something, because that's only when it will fully get the best out of you.
Okay, no, I really like that. I'll give you another one. Say this individual is a content creator, obsessing over like the camera quality, the edits, instead of just like posting daily. What's an 80-20 principle for like content creators or people who are trying to break into the content scene right now?
Yeah, again, end goal, I'm trying to get known. So if I'm trying to get known, what is the one thing I need to do? Or what are the couple of things I need to do? I need to create content and I need to put it out. That is it. Those are the 2 things. Anything else is irrelevant, bro. Like, you worrying about camera qualities and this and that. I've seen videos go viral where the camera quality is awful, bro.
Yeah.
So really, again, is that a needle mover? Like, not really.
Okay.
Not really, bro.
I like that.
So again, identifying the 2 things that have the biggest impact, creating the content, putting the content out, boom, there you go. And staying consistent with it.
100%. And last one, I think this relates to a big part of our audience. I'm an employee. I'm saying yes to everything. I'm applying to everything. I'm staying busy all day. I'm coming into the office early. I'm leaving late, but I'm never doing the one thing that actually moves my career forward. What advice would you give to them?
Again, what is that one thing? What is that one thing that moves your career forward? Like, you need to identify that. I think we spoke on a previous podcast, and I mentioned the book by Gary Keller. I'll probably bring it up on the screen, called The One Thing. And the one thing concept is you have to get good at identifying what is the one thing that, if I do this, will have a major impact on everything else. And I want everyone who's listening or watching to picture a domino, and you've got loads of dominoes lined up. And then the one thing effectively is the one thing that you can do, that if you was to knock down that domino, it would knock all the other dominoes down. And that's what people need to start getting used to doing, is what is the most impactful thing, and then kind of reverse engineering from there.
No, I really like that. And guys, again, you're probably going to sort of slot into either some or multiple of those different like character bits and pieces. And I think with that whole principle of doing less of more, that's something that you can massively use in your day to day. And also I think the one thing that the hustle trap teaches a lot of people is that we've, like I mentioned, been conditioned with that. If we're not working hard, if it doesn't hurt, if it doesn't burn, if it doesn't sting, it doesn't really count, right? And I feel like we've been so conditioned with the image of hard work as opposed to what actually works.
Yeah. And I think that stems from, we've all been conditioned to sell our time to make money. So
Prostitutes.
Whoa. Whoa.
We're prostitutes.
Yes.
Prostituting our time.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I like that, you're right.
time.
So the reality is, because we've all been conditioned, how you make money or how you become successful is to sell your time. We feel like we need to put in more hours to make more money, but there's always going to be a ceiling,
Of course,
to selling your time for money. So again, I say this, and I say it all the time, we need to uncondition our minds to understand that what we've maybe been taught no longer works anymore, bro. What our parents were doing 20, 30 years ago probably don't work now. It probably doesn't work now. And we need to understand that there are probably a few things that we need to do that create the results that we desire. A few actions that will bring back that outcome, a few habits that will create the most It's not 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 things. Like, gone are the days where you've got 30 things on your to-do list. Can I identify 3 to 5 things today that are going to have the most impactful, and just focus on that?
I'm totally with you. And I feel like the biggest shift is understanding and learning that not everything is equal.
Yes.
Once you can fully understand that, it'll be massively impactful. Because if you treat everything as important, you'll be giving so much of your energy to things that barely move the needle in the right order. Another point I kind of want to delve into is that I feel like with this whole concept of less is more, this can appear to be like lazy, or relaxed, or not outgoing. But I think what we really want to dive down to is like, this is you being very critical and clinical with your time. And again, like working smart as opposed to hard. So I think that's also another brain shift that people need to think of. Like, what are the few things I can do to make this massive?
So ultimately, guys, we know in our life that time is, a limited resource. We only have a certain amount of time in the day. So we got to make sure that we use the hours effectively. And I said the other day, I think on the last episode, it's not how many hours you do, it's what you put in the hours. And a lot of people feel they're being productive because they're doing this, they're doing that, they're checking emails, they're on the phone. And then the end of the day comes, it's like, have I actually made any progress, bro? I'm looking at the scoreboard and the scoreboard's still the same.
No.
You know what I mean? So, and then you start to get disheartened, and then you start to think, actually, and that's when you start to get burnt out. I'm not even going to say physically, but mentally. You now get a mental burnout because you're working hard. And it's frustrating,
sorry to interrupt, but it's also frustrating because it's like, I'm doing all of this stuff and nothing is moving. Imagine like you've just scored 10 goals and they all are offside. You know how frustrating that is?
I love that analogy still.
That is so frustrating.
Man, you don't like football.
Yeah, that's the one football thing I know, offside rule. Took me 10 years to get that, but I get it now. But you get what I mean? Like, that's so frustrating. And I think that's like the real burnout, right? The real burnout is doing a lot and nothing is actually moving. Because I reckon that if you were doing a lot or focusing on a few outcomes and every single time the lever was moving, every single time there was progress, every single time you're breaking a new barrier, every single time you're seeing success, every single time you're seeing results, you'll be so motivated, and I don't think you'd feel burnt out because you're actually doing something you enjoy and that's actually, in line with your goal. But whereas when the opposite is happening, you're naturally like, we don't have unlimited fuel.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. So cool, guys. Hopefully you found that productive. If you're someone who is finding himself busy all the time, it's now time to start reevaluating your life, what you're doing on a day-to-day, and your goals and your objectives. So as you know, we're all about practical steps.
Yes, we are.
So we are going to give you 2 practical steps, one from myself and one from Freeman. Tell the people, bro, what can they implement to get out the hustle trap?
Naturally, you're going to see this as a common theme, but I think one of the first thing is an audit, right? You don't have unlimited time. You need to build and strategize around someone with limited time. So you need to audit your full life. You've got 24 hours. You've got 8 hours for sleep. You've got maybe 8 to 10 hours for work. That remaining 8 hours or so that you have, what can you allocate just 1 or 2 activities to that will actually contribute towards the big goal?
Give us an example.
Cool. Say I am working as a 9-to-5er. I'm a school teacher and I've got a kid. I work for 8 hours. I sleep for 8 hours. And I have a remaining 8 hours as well. Saying I spend 4 hours with my family, I have 4 hours for myself. What I will do is saying if I want to start a brand new business, saying I want to start, teaching my subject, say maths, for instance. I want to start like a tutoring business. Cool. One of the first things I will do is block out an hour a day, ideally, preferably at the start of your day or in the middle of the day where you have the most amount of energy. right? So either before work or on your lunch breaks, and just spend that 1 or 2 hours just being fully present in what you can do to start that tutoring business, right? And just simply at it, right? Now, you want to start a tutoring business, we also perhaps need to get client, or we might need to start making some content, right? So how do we get clients? We need to market to them. How do we market to them? In this day and age, we need to produce some content. So one of the things I'll do is either early in the morning in your house, or maybe in some spare room that you might have within your work facility, or maybe in someone else's place, batch produce some content. That's one thing. Because if we know we can batch produce some content, that's one thing that can actually move the lever in the right way. So that's what I would do in that example. Do a full life audit of your 24 hours, allocate them accordingly to sleep, work, family, and the remaining 4 hours that you would typically have for yourself, you now dedicate that on 1 or 2 activities that will actually move the level. That's mine.
Nice.
What about you, bro?
My one is change your mindset. And that mindset change is you now identifying that everything is equal. Not all tasks are equal. Once you identify not all tasks are equal, you start to look at the things that have the most impact. And once you identify the things that have the most impact, you time block. So one of the things that I do, which has helped me, is, like I said earlier, is that I use a timer, and I have 2 work blocks a day. I have 2 90-minute work blocks. In those 90 minutes, you can't get hold of me, bro. I know you phoned me a few times, the phone's ringing out. You can't get hold of me, bro, because I know that's my dedicated time to get my work done.
Yeah, you got to be
that's
selfish.
My focus. You have to be selfish.
To be selfish.
And people think it sounds bad about being selfish, but this is your life. No one else is going to achieve the things that you want for you other than you. So there's times in your life where you have to be selfish. If you can't give yourself 2 90-minute blocks to move your life forward, then
You don't want it.
you don't want it.
You don't want it.
You don't want it. So for me, change how you see tasks. Not everything is equal. And then just time block and do those things and just focus.
Bro, no, I love that. I love that. But before we close off and do a bit of Unplugged Truths, I've got a quick announcement to make. 75% of you guys who are watching us are currently not subscribed. JP, what's the goal? Remind them, please.
The goal. Guys, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And, every week, myself and Freeman, we're putting out this content. We want to uplift, we want to inspire, we want to motivate, we want to help change people's lives. But we cannot do that without you guys. We appreciate the support thus far, but we want to keep pushing. We want to keep getting to the next level, and we can't do that without you. So if you're watching, press that big red button on your screen.
Please do.
If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, send it over to a friend, follow us, make sure you're liking on those platforms as well. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Cool. So, bro, closing off now, I think something that's very, very important is that if you are currently in the hustle trap, you need to think right now, where am I doing too much? Where am I spending so much time? Who am I saying yes to? Who am I not maybe saying no to? And analyzing and understanding if this is really worth your time and if this so-called task is actually truly important.
No, I like that. And I think you just mentioned it. Saying no is a superpower, bro.
Powerful.
Superpower. And I think once I learned that, a lot of things changed for me. Naturally, you want to be liked, you want to be loved, and we feel by telling people no, we're going to hurt people's feelings. But you can't keep saying yes to everybody, because if you keep saying yes to everybody and everything else, when are you going to have time to do what you want to do for you? What's going to help your life?
You won't.
So start learning to say no.
100%. So guys, this is the part of the show, if you're joining us for the first time, called Unplugged Truths, or if you're unplugger, you will know this is a statement, a quote, a text, or whatever it may be that John and I have heard, listened to, or read, and we thought would be massively valuable to share to you guys. Cool. So John, do you want to go with your Unplugged Truth?
Yes, my Unplugged Truth reads, sometimes the way forward is not adding more, it is removing more.
That's a really good one.
Love that. And that's one of my philosophies, man. Working less so you can achieve more. And that might blow a lot of people's mind. But the reason why we work less to achieve more, because we've identified the things that are going to allow us to achieve more and reduce the things that are holding us back from achieving more. So I love that.
No, 100%. I think only naturally because a lot of this episode was framed off of Richard Koch. Is Richard Koch? I don't know how to pronounce his name. But he says the 80-20 idea is that a few things matter a huge amount. that means your breakthrough may not be hidden in doing more, but in finally identifying what matters most. And I just love that, because the greatness comes from a small multitude of what you do. And if you really, really think back to like any massive, memorable moment in or event that's happened, like say you get married now, like your first dance. That is such a small part of the whole wedding. The guests coming in, you know, the party, the drinks, the food, but that small dance, like you will never forget that. You know what I mean? Or like maybe your parent, like when your first child, you know, when your first child is born, right? Them first coming out, crying, screaming, like, you'll never forget that as they grow on. And also like always kind of remember like it's the small multitudes of brilliance and beauty in life is actually what counts. Who's like the great aim. Yeah,
no, I love that. So in that moment, I'm laughing in my head. I don't know why, but I thought of Chris Brown in that moment. In terms of like, no, like the 2080. So someone like Chris Brown, who is arguably one of the most successful R&B artists in the world, he's identified his 2080. All he needs to do is write music and go in the studio and perform. He could try and do all these million different things, but he's identified his 2080.
Okay, he said that? Oh, I don't know.
No, he hasn't said that. But I'm saying that. I'm saying that, like, if you think about an artist or a footballer, they've identified what it is. So, say you want to be a striker, right? You identify the attributes of a successful striker. It's not going to be lots of things. It might be you practice your shooting, you practice holding up the ball, you practice heading. It's not going to be 100,000,001 things. It's about identifying those three things. But I know Chris Brown's on tour right now.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm looking to go, but he popped up in my head and I thought, someone like that, like you identify, I need to be a good songwriter. I need to be in the studio, my choreography and stuff like that. He's identifying just a few things that make him become the global superstar that he is, not 100,000,001 things.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think
that's
very fair.
Analogy of Chris Brown, by the way. Yeah. From our Chris Brown fans, I know there's quite a few who are plugged into this podcast. Aisha.
Cool. Well, guys, I really, really hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, please making sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing. Tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell his mistress. Please tell her.
Probably got an 80-20 locked.
Yeah, locked in. As always, guys, love, love, love.
Elevate.